So hello boys and girls, welcome back to do some logic together, now with a new camera. And you see I still have to buy the pay version, but that's just on the side. We actually want to do some logic. And what do we use for that? We actually use the book of Gensler again. And we do first the sentence, X isn't a cat. So now let me see whether I can arrange my whiteboard here. Yeah, let's just do it with a whiteboard. So X isn't a cat. How do we translate that? So let me just take some notes, okay? So X isn't a cat. So we have, let me see that I can use my whiteboard here. Where's my whiteboard? Here we go. So we have X. And we say that is not, let's take a big C. So therefore we can simply write first, let's write it here, first, it is not true that X is C. I think that must be right. If I'm wrong on this, then please correct me. I just try to how I understand that. So something is a cat. Something is a cat. So I think here we can write there exists something. So there exists an X. Wait, I shouldn't write the brackets, right? That was how we did it in another writing system. Can I? I'm still experimenting with the whiting board, but probably I should write it like this. There exists an X so that CX. That's how we should write it, right? There exists an X so that CX. Well, let's check it a bit with Gensler. How do we do that best? Yeah, here. And then I also have to, yeah, I need a third monitor too. I have to double check the specific way of how the rules of writing are, because that's why it is important. No, I should actually write it in brackets like this. So that is the trick here. So let's do it in the right way. Just show you again. So I should actually write brackets around here. And then we have there exists an X so that C is X. Let's look at the next task. And again, if you think I do something wrong, I possibly do some mistakes, right? I'm also just learning this. Something isn't a cat. Okay, so there is something. We just write it the same way. Let's just write it the same way. I need an easier way to switch to the whiteboard, to be honest. So 3, so there exists an X, so that not CX, right? The C is supposed to be a bigger C because it stands for clear property. I think that must be right. If I make a mistake, please let me know. Let's look at the next task. It isn't the case that there is something that isn't a cat. It isn't the case that there is something that isn't a cat. So let me just write it like this. It is not true that there exists an X so that not CX. I think that must be right? Let's translate that in reverse. It isn't the case that there exists something so that it does not have the predicate of a cat. Which means, I mean, can we translate that? Technically it means, let me try to translate that. Technically it means that everything is a cat, right? So for all X it is true that CX, if I'm not mistaken. So everything is a cat. right? Let's look at this again here. It isn't the case that there's something that isn't a cat. So yeah, everything is a cat, right? Everything is a cat. That's what I just wrote, so that's 5. If X is a dog, then X is an animal. Let's write that here on top. If X is a dog, if X is a dog, so if X is a dog, then what did they say? Then it is. If X is a dog, then X is an animal. So I think we don't need an existential quantifier. We just say something like this. Um, if X is D, then X is also an animal. I think we write that like that, right? So if X is a dog, then X is also an animal. I think that should be right, right? Again, if I make a mistake, then let me know. All dogs are animal. Okay, this is an all statement again. That should also not be so difficult. So for all X, it is true that if X is a dog, then it is an animal, right? Let's see if that is what we said. If X is a dog, then X is an animal. So yeah, for all X it is true. If it is a dog, then it is an animal. I think that should be right. We should double check in a second. All dogs are animals. So number 7, all dogs are animals. Isn't that the same like 5? It's the same like 5, right? All dogs are animals. Then if dx, then ax, right? We can also probably write it like this. For all x, if it is a dog, then ax. But I think for that we would already say that there is at least one dog, right? Huh. I'm now doubting myself a bit. Well, okay, so I'm doubting myself. So let's look into the solutions of the book. Let's just go to the solutions of the book. Let me just pull that out very quickly. So let's look at the first one. It says X isn't a cat. And what do they say in the solution? Not CX. And now let's see what I had. Not CX. Yoo-hoo! I had the first one right. Okay. Let's look at the second one, which was, do they have a solution for the second one? No, they have a solution for the third one. Let's see what the third one was. Something isn't a cat. Let me make that a bit bigger here. It's too small, right? So something isn't a cat. Let's see what is the solution. There exists an X, so that not CX. And what did I write? Let's see. Let's see. There exists an X, so that not CX. And I think the formulations, I also did it right. And then for 5, where I was really wondering, oh, they translated for all X CX. Wait. For all X CX? That does not make sense. Did I read something else for 5? Let me see. For all, you see here for all X CX. And what did they write for 5? Everything is a cat. Oh, I jumped over that, right? Everything is a cat. I didn't write that, right? Do I have that somewhere? No, I just forgot that. So I made a mistake here. I just jumped in the line. For all X is a cat. So unfortunately, they have no, not the other ones, especially if it like a number. Huh? Let me. I should give it names here. Okay, So especially for if X is a dog, then X is an animal, right? They don't have the solution here, but they have number 10. So let's do number 10 very quickly. So number 10 says no logician is evil. So let's at least finish with number 10 here. So no logician is evil. We could also translate that in all logicians are good, right? But we really want to say that with no logician is evil. So that means it is not true that there exists an X, so that X is a logician and evil. That is how I would write it. It is not true that there is an X, so that X is a logician and evil. Let's see how they wrote that. No logician is evil. Yeah, now we just have to switch to the solution section. There exists no X, so that LX and EX. So I use a little bit of a different way of writing. That's the only difference, right? Well, let's do the other ones until 10 too. So which ones do we have? All dogs are animals. I think I did this, and no one is evil. Let's do the one, no one is evil. How would I write this? I'm sorry for being a bit sloppy, but I do this the first time. So no one is evil. Which number was that? I've forgotten. Let's double check here. Which number? No one is evil, number 8. And I forgot number 7. All dogs are animals. Well, let me do again the all dogs are animals before, okay? So that we have really everything. So, but I think that's equal to 5. All dogs are animals. So that's 5. So now let's do number 10. Let's do that down here. I hope you still see that. Yeah. I'm sorry for being a bit unstructured. 10. No logician is evil. No, wait, we had that. We have to do number 8. No one is evil. No one is evil. Now, how do we write this? Number 8. No one is evil. It is not true that there exists an X, so that X is evil, right? I mean, it depends a little bit if no one means here no human, right? But let's say it means anything, any that X could be. Let's make it a bit simple. It may be a bit wrong, or there are at least two ways of how we could do it. So we could say, okay, let me see. It is not true that there exists an X, so that EX, and E stands for evil, right? If it applies to human, we could also write like human X and evil X, right? However, I won't do that. Let's do number 9. So yeah, these translations are really not so difficult, but it's good to practice that. Some logicians are evil. Some logicians are evil. Some, how can we translate some? It means we could translate that in not all logicians are good. That's how we can translate that. We can also say that there exists at least one logician, so that that logician is evil. So let's do that. So number 9. There exists at least one X, so that if X is a logician, then he is evil. I think that's how I can write it. There exists at least x, so that if x is a logician, then the logician is evil. No, I shouldn't write it that way. I'm sorry, that's wrong, right? Because then I would say whenever something exists that is a logician, then it is evil, right? Yeah, I shouldn't write it like that. Let me think about that again. At least I can say, an alternative way, I can also say for all x it is true, some logicians are evil. Or it is not true for all x that if they are logicians, then they are good. And the opposite of good is evil, right? So, and if I translate that, then I can say, so I could translate that also into this writing. There exists at least one x, so that it is not true that if Lx, then good x. I think I can write it like this. I just wonder if I can also write this here, and that's where I'm a bit confused. There exists at least one x, so that if it's a logician, then the logician is evil. I wonder if I can write that. Does that mean that there could also, oh, now I'm sitting in the way. Does that mean that I could also, like, so let's say I have an x and it is a logician. Does it mean it's not true for all x, right? It's just true for one x, or am I wrong on that? Well, I cannot clarify that. So let me know in the comments whether I'm wrong on that. I'm here a bit in a mind trap, so I have to think about it a bit more by myself. But thanks for watching. If you enjoy this, right? If you say, "Well, I like thinking about logic," then, and again, it's not like that I'm here the expert. I'm just like recovering what I know in logic, and um, I try to get back into the topic. Yeah. So if you like this and doing that with me together, and maybe you want to help me in the comments, then just subscribe and like it. Okay. So if you don't, it's also fine. Then live long and don't do logic and prosper anyway.